Shalom. Let me get straight into this lesson now. You know it's bad when a damn dentist. I'm gonna get into this little short. It's going paycheck to paycheck, and that goes back into that stats I be bringing out about. I think it's about 35% of people that make over $100,000 a year, going paycheck to paycheck. And see, this is what happens when you build a society based on financial. When you build a society based on financial, that's what people determine their worth based on how much fiat money that they so-called make. And your brothers got to be real careful to not get caught up in these traps. Because yes, when in captivity, you do have to produce. You have to, you know what I'm saying, do what you got to do to survive. But in no means are you thinking, you think this is the right way, how we should live. This is fucking insane the way we live. This is another man blueprint that you're following. That's why it's so vexing to your spirit. That's why none of this shit really makes sense. Everything is with interest. And then going back into the curses, that's why we are praying to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shah. We are lamenting. We in sorrow. It ain't no happy shit over here. Right? We strictly business. We want the kingdom so we can get the fuck up out of here. This shit is crazy. This is insanity. And a lot of you people are tired of this shit too. People that's playing, they just acting like putting on a charade. But we know how this is going to end. We know how this is going to manifest. These people in this world are delusional. They confused. They don't know what's really going on. America, Babylon is spiraling out of control. Mental in Salaki, the allergies. The mental illness is at an all-time level. These people can't barely read. They can't barely understand, comprehend. How they gonna understand the Bible? That's why your average Christian is mentally ill. They don't know what's going on. They can't. They can barely put two words together, and you just tell them, ask them, what's the definition of this word? They can't really give you a clear answer. You tell them to point out Israel on the map. They'll say pray for Israel, but you say show me Israel on the map. They can't do it. And it goes on and on, the stupidity of these Americans, these Babylonians, drunk in a Babylon wine. So this damn dentist is going paycheck to paycheck. And you get into this video.
My name is Yazzie. I'm a dentist and I'm broke, so that's why I'm on here. I am manifesting an extra $30,000 a month. I make literally enough.
And see that manifest BS, you know what I'm saying, that you've been taught. A lot of our women get into that. They get into that manifest shit, which is all folly. Like they get into the zodiac signs. All this bunch of folly, a bunch of distractions that don't mean anything. Just to keep you fucking distracted, to keep you locked into some folly so you don't really know and find out what's going on.
Enough just to cover my bills, like barely. I do have a house, I do have a car payment, I have 2 kids in daycare, and we're literally living paycheck to paycheck. My student loans start in 2 weeks.
And that's another trap of student loans. You know what I'm saying? Everything comes with a catch. You're not sovereign. And that's why we crying out. We constantly crying out to get the fuck up out of Babylon. I'm vexed out just thinking about it. It's a nightmare on M Street, but it's a nightmare in Babylon. This shit is crazy. And you could see, this, how much, say, you got some brothers that's making all-time highs for his income. And it seems like the shit come in one end and go out the other. That's that scripture goes back into like your bag having holes in it when you make money. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get that. Give me 1 second. Matter of fact, let me let this play out, then I'm gonna get that next.
I literally up, but you know what? It is okay because I'm gonna do it. I am gonna
Delusional.
make that money.
Now I'm very curious where her.
Now, that's what people resort back to. Mammoth, money. That's what they resort. That's their go-to. That's their fix. That's they, silver bullet, so to speak. So-called fake money. And they're going to show you these people don't have any substance of anything spiritual because they whole end all be all is I just got to make more so-called money. And that's we supposed to be set apart from the other nations. And you know what I'm saying? You got Israelites mixed among this that among them, among these people of the world, they don't know the Israelites. She could very well be an Israelite. You just don't know. But this shit is crazy. Most of these people out their fucking mind. You know what I'm saying? This economy is we in a depression right now. They not gonna tell you on the news, Jake, not right now. And I was watching this video, and the guy was saying that we're past a recession. We're in a depression. Like I've been saying, and the brother's been saying for since 2020. This shit is wild. So you got two extremities going on in Babylon. Either you got it or you don't. It ain't no more in between. That's been wiped out in 2020 with the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? So let me get this scripture real quick. Give me 1 second. The water Yahweh Shem Yahweh. You know what I'm saying? I was able to find the scripture because I ain't went to the scripture in a long time. It says Haggai 1:6. And when I was young, when I was reading the Bible, I kind of knew we was the people. Of course, we was, lost. We didn't know who we were, but I had a feeling, the intuition that we were the people. But now we know what time it is. Haggai 1:6. It says, you have sown much and bring in little. It's like all that fucking intensive work that we do, but you bring in little. You know what I'm saying? You eat, but you have not enough. It's always a day late, dollar short, right? Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe, but there is no warm. And you have earned it. And he that earneth earneth wages to put into a bag with holes. So it's like, come in, as soon as you get it, it come in, go right back out. Whoever came up with this 30-day bill cycle this shit is demonic. But that's the system that our people foolishly follow because they don't know better. Because this is all they literally know. They don't know no other way of existing. They don't know no other way of doing things. That's all they fucking know. We've been set free from this, and that's why we're vexed. With much wisdom, increases sorrow. I think that's in. Let me get that real quick. Give me 1 second. And this Ecclesiastes 1:18. Matter of fact, I want to go to this commentary too, but I just get it right here. It says, which it said, with much wisdom comes much sorrow. Why is this? We're supposed to be thinkers. We're supposed to be philosophers, you know what I'm saying? Through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah, not through our own foolish mind. The filthy things do the Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah. And that's the philosophy, goes back into the scriptures. But we're supposed to be able to extrapolate on the wisdom of it and go and explain it and be able to teach our people in depth. It said, with much wisdom comes much sorrow. Why is this though? Means that a deeper understanding of the world reveals its complexities, injustices, and suffering, leading to increased feelings of sadness, empathy, and frustration as one recognizes the extent of problems and their own limitations in fixing them. Yeah, that's right on the money. Right, but we don't give a damn. I mean, let me say it like this. This is not through the concept of caring for the world. Hell no. We caring about the elect, the brothers and sisters that's suffering. We want to get the hell up out of here. We want to go home. And that's crazy because what movie this was? The dude in this movie was saying, I just want to go home. You know what I'm saying? And even in our own captivity, when you go home, it should be like a comfort to you to a certain degree. So just look at it through that way. We want to go back home. We want to be at rest. We want to be able to prosper. We don't want to have to worry about paying bills every 30 days and being anxiety, worrying about this, worrying about that. It shit weighs you down. Even you can be built up spiritually, but you're still going to feel some of this stuff. It's just what it is. That the spirit helps us get over these hurdles, but it's still there. We still suffering. We have sadness, frustration. Sometimes, you feel like you want to snap, but the spirit keeps us calm in those times so we can get the hell up out of here. We got to stay in a right frame of mind for what's coming. Stable minded. This saying is from Ecclesiastes 1 and 18. Suggests that while wisdom bringing a clear-eyed view of reality, because we can see what's going on. We can tell you who's running the world. We can tell you the system how it's being ran. We can tell you who's controlling the system. We can tell you everything. We can break it all down in great detail. But to people in this world, that has no value because it's not anything monetary. Because these people walk in carnality. We in the spirit. So our two worlds don't mix. So that's why we have to endure, and we'll get our gift on the other side. We have to suffer right now. And you're going to have brothers that have some bit of prosperity. It just brother to brother depend. You know, you got some brothers going to be doing better than other brothers. Every brother got his burden that he going to carry. But at the end of the day, we suffering collectively. And, just being scoffed at, being mocked, mockery, all this shit get old, man. This saying is from Ecclesiastes 1:18. I read that, Salakia. It says, this awareness can be a burden, destroying childlike joy. We don't have a lot of joy anymore. Like, when you was a child, them days over with. It's strictly business. It's a lot of sorrow. But we have, you got to balance it out. Sometimes we have a chuckle here and there, but we scarcely smile because there ain't nothing to smile about. We don't like the way this shit is being ran. We don't like being ruled over by the so-called white man. Eat them. None of this makes sense, man. And increasing one grief over the world's brokenness. And the world is broke. Like she was saying, she broke. And she's supposed to, be a so-called dentist, which they, range from 140 to 170. I think he said that in the video. And she going paycheck to paycheck. She crazy, man. But again, we getting into the situation right now. 1 second, Salakia. Where either you got it or you don't got it. Either you got the rich and you got the poor, the working class poor. That's just what it is. Now you're gonna have a few extra, ends here and there, but all this shit is fake anyway. None of this is real. This is a matrix, man. So let's go here. And that's the reason why we're lamenting. We're crying out. We're in sackcloth. Sackcloth represents, metaphorically, we're in mourning. We want to go home. That's our custard prayer every day. I wake up in this bitch. I'm like, man, I want to go, I want this to be over with. This, get delivered, and so we can go home. And this can all be a flash from the past, right? We ain't got to deal with these low-level people, man. Isaiah 51 and 14. It says, the captive exile hastened that he may be loose. So we understand that we've been exiled from our land. We're not in our correct land. We're not in our correct nothing. Everything is out of pocket. And that he should not die in the pit. What does this mean? This is a symbolic thing. A pit represents confinement. I'm going to show you. It says, nor that his bread should fail. Let's go to this pit right here. And it's even giving you an illustration so you can understand. A pit is being in captivity. You're confined. You're trapped. Let's go here. So we don't want to die this way. It says, yes, a pit can symbolize bondage or captivity. There you go. Because when you're in a pit, you're trapped. As you're looking at this analogy. And we're trapped in America. We're trapped under these curses. We want to get free from this. Enough is enough. We're completely wore out. Like the scripture said, they should wear out the saints. We got to deal with bugged out Jakes. We got to deal with bugged out, Israelites. They know they're Israelites. We got to deal with bugged out Edomites. I mean, the list is endless. We really the only people in our right frame of mind. It says right here. It says represent a state of being trapped, isolated, or a situation of despair or confinement. You can't do what you want to do here. You can have these great ideas, but you got somebody, these Edomites got control over the land. They control every fucking thing. So we praying to the Lord, crying out, get us the hell up out of here. Call Allah, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Rachak. Akwadash. Shalom.